Hey guys, Youngblood with you, and in case you haven't heard, Arena Commander 1.1 is now in the PTU state, and with that comes the flyable Gladius. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play this more and more and more, and I'm going to be doing another video summarizing the changes so far in 1.1, mainly because I want it to be its own video, because there's a lot of changes that actually happened. But in the meantime, I wanted to talk to you about the Gladius, which outside of the Vanguard is the ship I'm most excited to get my hands on, and I'm finally able to get in and fly this ship. So, I've been flying the Gladius for a bit today, and it's got some highs and some lows in my mind. The single biggest attribute that it has is its maneuverability. You know, the thing can just flat out breakdance. It's easy to control, it's very intuitive to fly, and adding in the strafe really just feels pretty natural. I think it might be a new function in 1.1, but strafing now doesn't feel like it really completely kills your forward momentum anymore, which is probably leading to some of why it feels so good. The Gladius is easy to avoid taking a lot of damage in, so it kind of inherently has some decent survivability built into it. But speaking of survivability, it's not going to be a Hornet, but the Gladius does feel much sturdier than a lot of other ships that I've flown so far. And that might be partially, due to just not being hit that much, since it is so, agile and nimble. Or maybe it's just because there's a lot of other Gladiuses out there flying right now, and with the fairly low-powered weaponry they carry, maybe it's just kind of giving me a false sense of security. Even with that in mind, though, ships with bigger weapons like the 300 series and the Avenger haven't really given me much of a problem either. Now, speaking of its weaponry, it's pretty underwhelming overall. With the nose gun does some decent damage, but it does take a while to spin up. And I don't know if it's actually slower than the Tiger Strike or not, but it feels like it takes a while to start shooting, a little bit longer than the Tiger Strike does. Now, if you can get behind a target who's flying in a straight line, or you get somebody who's basically turning in place, you're going to find success with that nose gun. Now, the Bulldogs on the wings are a bit anemic, and they feel like they're mostly there because they needed an easy size 1 choice to just put on the wings. Now, they do have an ability to fire a lot, but they don't do a whole lot of damage, and being non-gimbaled, they're very hard to land shots with, especially since the ship is so agile. They're firing in a straight line, you're dodging and weaving, and it's just challenging to hit your target. Now, some of that may be a bit exaggerated for me personally, since I haven't been flying a very agile ship like this, a whole lot. So there is going to be a bit of a learning curve for me. Now, with that in mind, though, if you're proficient in flying something like an M50, you're going to be finding success with the Gladius. I can almost guarantee it. Now, it does carry some big missiles, and with it having 6 total, if you're using them at the right times, you can really deal some good damage with those. Now, that being said, I have very few issues avoiding missiles since 1.0 was released, and since I've been playing today in 1.1, I didn't get hit by a single missile. And it just kind of feels like more of the same. It's easy to avoid. So I don't think the missiles are a non-factor, but it's not really a huge positive for the Gladius either, at least in the confines of Arena Commander. Now, the biggest letdown with the Gladius for me is its top speed at only 220 meters per second. That puts it equal to the 300 series and only about 20 meters per second faster than the Hornet. So for a ship that was being sold as being a light fighter with speed being praised as one of its attributes, it's very lackluster in my mind. And as I've said before, I was really hoping to see 240, and we still may end up getting that, but right now it's slower than I think it should be, especially considering the small weapons that it's bringing to the fight. Now, the agility still makes up for a lot of that, but you're not going to be outrunning any ships either. Well, many ships, I should say. Overall, though, the Gladius has been an absolute delight to fly. It's fun, it's controllable, and it's flat out sexy. I still think it's the best looking ship in the game. The new damage states are great to see, the cockpit has good visibility, and it's surprisingly, it has a surprisingly good durability with it. So, I'm fairly pleased with the initial release, though I do feel it needs a slight buff with the weapons, especially on the wings, and that top speed should probably be bumped up a little bit too. Now, I'm going to keep flying it, and if my opinion changes, I'll let you all know. If you have questions about the ship, feel free to ask. Otherwise, stay tuned for more content. Have yourselves a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you all later. Take care.